We didn't need bollards of peace at Christmas markets before we imported radicals from the Middle East. There is some confusion as to whether or not Talabeh, who allegedly drove a car through a Christmas market in Magdeburg, Germany, is an Islamist. Did he shout Allahu Akbar as he was arrested? Some of his social media profile talks about slaughtering Germans. He's used the tried and tested method for jihadis of getting in a car and mowing down people at a Christian event. If it looks like a cat, it walks like a cat, and it sounds like a cat, it's probably a cat. But then, some of his other posts seem to show support for the AfD and other right-wing figures. But then some of the other posts there, look at him. I mean, it's a bit odd, isn't it? So he seems to be in favour of them there. Can I just make something very clear now, OK? It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Only one thing matters. This is another unhinged bloke from the Middle East who had absolutely no business being in Europe, who's apparently slaughtered men, women and children indiscriminately, and our ridiculous soft-touch politicians and judges have granted asylum to another complete extremist. And yet again, people have died. Oh, but of course, it's all worth it, isn't it? Isn't it? For the lovely Saudi Arabian culture that we've imported. I wonder how enriched that 9-year-old boy felt as a car driven by a nutter from the Middle East hurtled towards him. I mean, you could say that the only successful Saudi Arabian import that we've had in Britain has been all the Sharia courts that we've got. We've had the Nice terror attack, the Bataclan, Charlie Hebdo, the Berlin Christmas market, the Syrian refugee who killed 3 at a festival of diversity, ironically. Here in Britain, we've had that Moroccan gentleman who slaughtered a man outside a migrant hotel in Hartlepool. We've also had the mass sex attacks in Cologne, where 1,200 women were sexually assaulted by Arab or North African men on one night. It's just never ending. Now, it's not far right to want criminals, foreign criminals and terrorists booted out of your country. And to be honest with you, I am also sick and tired of foreign drama playing out on the streets. Do you remember when the Eritreans kicked off with each other? Again, it's all worth it, isn't it, for the wonderful Eritrean food. This Talabeh man in Germany was known by Saudi authorities. They apparently reported him to the Germans. A woman reported him to police, saying he was going to kill loads of people, and they did nothing. Naturally, the BBC managed to do a nice PR job for him before he apparently took a car to a Christmas market.
I'm from Saudi Arabia. I'm an activist. I created a website to help people seeking asylum.
Not the worst bloke who's ever been on the BBC, though, to be fair. They also appeared to offer excuses for his behaviour.
There are often more than one reason why somebody would want to do this. It's not always purely terrorism. It's not purely ideology. It can be mental. There could be all sorts of reasons. Stress that they're undergoing. They might have been fired. They might have, their wife or partner has left them. They might be extremely upset about something.
Oh, yeah, that's just, it's normal. It's normal, actually. Just the other day, I had an argument with my wife, and I immediately wanted to take a flamethrower to a primary school. Yeah, I don't care whether this Magdeburg attacker was Islamist or far right or a Zionist or whatever people are calling him. He just shouldn't have been here in the first place. Europe is not a playground for lunatic foreign extremists. The German authorities are now facing questions over what they knew about the suspect in the Christmas market attack, this Taleb Abdul Mohsen, who was arrested at the scene. So the 50-year-old reportedly fled Saudi Arabia. He was granted asylum in Germany in 2016, but now it's emerged he's got a history of violent threats and a criminal record. And just last year, the Saudi authorities wanted him back. They said that they wanted him back, but he's now declared himself a critic of Islam. They said he was not an Islamist, He therefore posed no danger. Well, I'm joined now by the human rights lawyer, David Hay. David, thank you very much. It's great to have you on the show. Now, look, I know that we were chatting a little bit over the weekend, just because, be clear, this is all speculation and everyone's trying to get to the bottom of what's going on because it's a very confusing picture. But are you a little bit sceptical in your experience as to whether or not this chap might have entirely renounced both Islam and the Saudi regime? How do you see it?
Good evening, Patrick. I mean, absolutely. I mean, because of the work that I've done for various Middle Eastern princesses, I'm fairly high profile with people seeking help, but also the target of various regimes. So I'm always very kind of cautious when people approach me. And I was helping a Saudi asylum seeker, a lady that's involved in the royal family there, that was over here, and I think this was about spring this year actually. And this terrorist, the person that's killed all the people in Germany, effectively contacted me and quite unnerving, but almost unhinged kind of desperation to find out information about this particular case or any other women that I might have been helping asylum seekers from Saudi. And like I said, I mean, because of the work I do, I'm usually very alert to these types of things. And regimes do send people to try and pretending to be things they're not, to get information. Particularly Saudi, they're very well known for going after high-level asylum seekers, people that leave the regime, they want to get them back. And they do many things to do that. So I was alerted to this person, found it unnerving and decided not to respond. Now, I forgot all about that, and it was only when this tragic news happened that I thought, actually, I remembered that they used an image of this person's Twitter account, and I remember the image, and I looked at my Twitter and found out this person follows me, and then I remembered all of this. And then I looked for the various group chats and things that we were on with other asylum and human rights people in relation to Saudi, and this person had come up several times. And the point here was that not just myself was very concerned that he wasn't genuine, that he could be working for the regime or just completely unhinged and evil, but others had that same opinion as well. So when I saw all the various kind of opinions that was about this chap and what his motives or not were for the terrible things he did, it was alarming.
No, it's a real insight. So it's not just you who has had some personal interaction with this individual. Other people as well who've had interaction with him in a direct sense have come to you and said they actually think that far from being this anti-Islam, atheist, anti-Saudi individual, he might actually be quite the opposite. That's where, and the thinking there would be that Saudi plant people around the world to keep tabs on people who do want to flee the regime and who might be saying bad things or talking the regime down. So that is fascinating, and hopefully all of this comes out, because at the moment its social media page seems to be largely filled with support for the AFD, support for various different right-leaning individuals. Do you think he could just be playing a game there?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said before, I know from my own experience in helping various people, particularly in relation to Saudi, but also Dubai, that people of a certain level, particularly females that come and that escape the countries, and high-level people, they hire people using subterfuge to go after them and get them back. They feed this information back and often sell that information back. There's very wealthy people that want these people back. So it could well be that. It's certainly something that does happen. Whether this particular individual, I can't say for certain, but he's certainly unhinged. And in my experience, when I saw what he'd sent to me and others, it had my alarm bells ringing.
But that's the other aspect to this, which is the unhinged element of it. And I think that's something I'd like to ask you about, really, which is that if we take certain people at face value, that they're fleeing war, they're fleeing torture, they're fleeing persecution, they're fleeing the horrors of human existence, that when they come to Europe and we give them asylum, we don't seem to think that maybe actually some of these people are very screwed up and that they might go and do something like what this chap has done here. Do you think that the mental health aspect of some of the people that we're giving asylum to, we don't consider it. We don't consider that they might actually be a danger based simply around their mental health?
We don't, and we absolutely must. I would say, if probably all of the people that I've helped, have some serious issues because of the terrible things they've gone through. And we do nothing to actually look into that in the first place. Who are we bringing in? And do they need help? And can we help them? Can we afford to help them? But this is the problem. It's not necessarily always about the asylum seekers as well. It's about us as Brits, or in the case of the Germans, the German people here who have been murdered. And that's the problem. I think there are so many issues in the current asylum seeker working. This is one of them.
Yeah, 100%. You know, we think we're doing it's all very lovely, isn't it? You know, welcome. We're a sanctuary city or whatever we are. And you think, oh, okay. Well, if you're of that mindset and ideology, that's for you. I'm personally not. But, well, then what if they've got serious problems? And then that becomes our problem, doesn't it? But look, David, can I just say a massive thank you? Really insightful stuff there. And I know this story's going to rumble on. So I hope to chat to you again very soon. It's David Haig, though, human rights lawyer. I think it's interesting to get that perspective out there because a lot of other outlets seem to just be swallowing what people are saying at the moment about the nature of this particular individual.